You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Not to be served, not to serve, to give my life, if you wish, to be the first you must seek, to be a servant, to be.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another broadcast of Diakonia, a call to service. Diakonia is the Greek word for service. It is also the root word for deacons. My name is Deacon Dave Brentzick, and I serve as the Associate Director for the Office of the Diaconate. I also serve as a deacon at Holy Guardian Angels Parish in Brookfield LaGrange Park. I'm joined by Deacon James Norman, Vicar for Deacons for the Archdiocese of Chicago, who is phoning in this today from the office. Jim also serves as a deacon at Our Lady of Sorrows Parish in on Chicago's west side. Welcome, Jim.
Hey, thank you, Dave. Thanks for being at the studio for me on my behalf. I'm saving you cold germs, so we don't want to carry this any further than we have to, but delighted to be here with you. It looks like we've got deacons all over the place today.
We do.
Even though this is a show not about deacons, it's a show by deacons, but not about deacons. We're very fortunate today to have with us Deacon Joe Winblatt from Hope's on the Way. So we're excited about that and having him here with us. Deacon Joe, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm up and about.
Well,
Meeting the criteria for today.
Good.
Well, it's great having you with us. We'd like to just get to know a little bit more about you, Deacon. When were you ordained?
In May of 1985, 38.5 years of serving the Lord.
38.5 years for serving the Lord. God bless. And how long have you been involved with Hope's on the Way?
Actually, from the beginning, in January of 2006, Sal Lima and I flew to New Orleans to assess the situation with the damaged buildings owned by the Carmelite Sisters of New Orleans.
So you started back in 2006. And so for our listeners, what's the mission of Hope's on the Way?
We respond to people affected by disasters. That includes missions to natural disaster sites as second responders. It includes shipping buckets of cleaning supplies to flood or hurricane victims. We have shipped over a value of $180,000 worth of cleaning items in the past 6 years. This is all free will donations from parishes in the Chicago and Joliet Diocese. Finally, Cardinal George asked us to respond to the needs of the diocese. We have helped to convert and maintain buildings to be used for homes for unwed mothers, women who have been victims of domestic abuse, halfway houses for men released from jail, counseling centers for unwed mothers, counseling centers for male prostitutes, homeless shelters, Joseph and Mary Retreat House, Christian thrift store, which trains staff in the sales, and help street ministries feeding the homeless by building a sandwich cart. We built a portable library cart for a trailer park in Robbins. Our list could go on, but today we do some interesting work as the hands and feet of Jesus Christ.
Can I ask you, when you say we, deacon, is it only deacons that are part of Hope is on the Way?
No, we are about half deacons and half lay people. We could not function without the help of our lay volunteers.
And I think Dave had some additional questions as well.
So how many deacons and lay people are involved in Hope's on the Way, Joe?
I believe about About 130.
That's over.
That's the people. I'm sorry, I'm not sure I heard you correctly, but I believe we have about 130 volunteers who have helped over the years.
And so that, but when you just stepping back just for a second. So Hope's on the Way, you mentioned had gone down to New Orleans. That was a result of Hurricane Katrina, correct?
That is correct. Yes.
And how many times how many times did you go to New Orleans to help out?
I believe we had 11 mission trips.
What was some of the work that you did down there?
Many times it was a home that had been gutted and prepared for response, rebuild, drywalling. Sometimes we helped with plumbing work. Putting in the initial plumbing that would pass later inspection. We had some local deacons who helped us with construction efforts, and it was very a rewarding experience in the sense that we realized people appreciated our efforts because we stood out. We initially went with a shirt design that John has. It's Hope's on the Way. It's a red shirt, and we wore it every day that we were on mission there. Many times I was primarily the go-for, and I would be standing at Lowe's or at Home Depot, and people would say to me, "Thanks for coming. Thank you for helping us." And these are just ordinary people, but expressing an appreciation of those of us who were there helping and restoring what they had lost.
Yeah, I'm proud to say that I'm also a member of Hope's on the Way, and I have to agree with you, Joe. We always wore the red shirts when we were traveling, and then down when at the work sites, and yeah, people would stop us and thank us for coming from traveling from Chicago to come down to New Orleans or Mississippi to help. It was always very, very gratifying. We felt it was just a small thing that we did, but it made a huge difference for people.
Dave and John, I wanted to ask you both, since you're both members of Hope is on the Way. The first project, it seemed that there was a need and a group of deacons and others went down. How do the projects come to you, and how do you find out about these opportunities to help and serve?
Many times it entailed a call, and as we developed the network, we knew which diaconate office in the South, primarily where the hurricanes had caused damage. We made contact with the diaconate office. Through the diaconate office, we were referred to deacons on site at many of the parishes that had damage, and thus we were able to determine where the need was, and then how to marshal our resources, means find volunteers, get the money to cover the expenses, and that's how we grew into being able to respond.
And locally, how did the projects come to Hope's on the Way?
Oh, let's see. I have my notes. It was Cardinal George who requested us to respond locally in the diocese, and of course, our response many times was working on projects within the diocese, from Posen to Waukegan, from Pullman to Posen to Bucktown to Arlington Heights and Lamont, as well as downtown Chicago. we'd probably done at least 100 projects in the last 12 years, which means thousands of volunteer hours of time.
Wow, that is amazing.
And Joe, I know we have just a little time remaining. How large is the group of volunteers on any particular project?
Normally, a project team might be a minimum of 6, which was our last trip to Rutledge, Tennessee. Previously, we would have a response of maybe 12, two teams of 5 and 2 cooks. We did our own meals and covered our expenses through donations.
Now, do you need to be an expert electrician or an expert carpenter to do this work, Joe? I know I'm not.
The interesting thing is that many of our volunteers come with some skills, and being a former teacher of electric shop, I don't mind instructing people in step 1, step 2, step 3, simplifying it that they can participate in some way. The hope for development is that we need new hands and feet to help. And how do we appeal to people saying, if you don't have talents, we can help you learn by instructing you, and everyone is welcome to represent today Jesus with our hands and our feet to those who really are in need. The response to the Samaritan problem.
So it's some just basic skills if you have them, or if you have some expertise, that's all the better. But I think a willing heart and a willingness to serve, I think, is our key. Would you say?
I would say that's really important. Person who looks at the gospel, especially the criteria for judgment, Jesus says, you have seen in your neighbor those who I consider representing me. So if we help our neighbor, Jesus considered us helping him, and therefore we have the eternal investment, which is eternal life with him. Thank you, Lord.
So, Joe, we're going to stop for a break now, but when we come back, we'd like to talk about the latest mission trip that Hope on the Way went down to eastern Tennessee.
I will be happy. It was a very spiritual and inspirational time.
Are you able? For I have come not to be served, but to serve, to give my life if you wish.
You know that Catholic Charities accepts car donations? If you're ready to free up space in your garage and put a stop to all those expenses that go along with owning a car, we will gratefully accept your donation, whether the car is running or not. You choose a pickup time that is convenient for you, and we will make the donation as easy as possible, free of charge. You'll receive a charitable donation receipt as well. We accept all types of vehicles nationwide, and you will know that your donation is made to Catholic Charities, an agency you can trust. To learn more about donating your car, call 877-786-4483. That's 877-786-4483. Thank you.
People always say, how can you spend your day with 3-year-olds? Seeing the changes that they go through and just the journey and how they grow, this is a very rewarding job. Even though at the end of the day, we're not the highest paid people on earth. And when I have a parent contact me and say, my child loves school, that to me, I'm setting that foundation for their love of learning, because really you are changing lives, you are molding lives.
Shape the next generation of leaders. Teach. Apply today at archchicago.org/schooljobs.
Community is core to Catholic Charity's founding mission. For more than 100 years, we have met people and families where they are, serving anyone in need, regardless of their faith, gender, race, or ethnicity. As our world absorbs the economic, political, and social aftershocks of the pandemic, 50% or more of the 6 million people living in Cook and Lake counties have little or no savings. They are a paycheck away from zero. We are deeply grateful to everyone in the Catholic Charities community who partners with us to alleviate the suffering of the people we serve and offer them a better path forward. We are witnessing a message of mercy and hope to a world very much in need. Learn more at CatholicCharities.net.
Not to be served, but to serve, to give my life.
Welcome back to Diakonia, a call to service. My name is Deacon Dave Brentzick. I'm the Associate Director for the Diaconate Office, joined by Deacon Jim Norman, the Vicar for Deacons, and also with Deacon Joel Winblad with Hopes on the Way. Joel, Hopes on the Way went on a mission trip this past August to Rutledge, Tennessee. Could you tell us a little bit about what kind of work you guys did down there?
We had 6 travel down, and we arrived at the Glen Mary Missions that creates new parishes in rural Kentucky and Tennessee. They have a volunteer organization which is known for doing service work for anyone who needs it. You don't have to be a Catholic. That is how they evangelize.
Yeah, I know. When we were, I was a member of that team that went down there, and I was struck that first night when we were there at the orientation. Phil, one of the mountain manager volunteers there, said to us that the Glenmarians had, for the past 10 years, they'd been down there, and they've developed a reputation among the people that if you need help, go to the Catholics. They'll help you. And I was really, really struck by that.
Yes.
Go ahead, Joe.
That impressed me. And the fact that there is a list of people that they have in a schedule of what is needed and how to help. We actually went to a widow and her daughter in a wheelchair. We assembled a commercial greenhouse, which was 24 feet by 36 feet. The woman lives in a mountainous area, and 6 years before, a friend of hers bought this kit. She told us that when she went to her pastor concerned about seemingly only bad things were happening to her, her pastor said that is why God sends angels to help. She told us we were the angels to do the job.
Mm-hmm.
In 3 days, we completed that greenhouse.
Yeah, it was, we had to drive in posts into the ground. We had to clear all kind of weeds first, construct the poles, as you can see in those photos. Yeah, it was quite the project. How would you compare? How would you?
Were there any outsiders, or I call them outsiders, but were there any non-deacons at this project?
Actually, with our group, we had two laymen, Gary Woolman, a friend of Dave's, and Rich Ribsky, my friend. But he's been on many mission trips. Rich has. Gary, it was his first experience. He was moved by our example of community prayer, our willingness to help someone who was really very, very poor. I won't use the word destitute because that is something different. In this case, very poor, living not in debt, but free of debt. And this widow makes choices to stay out of debt. The other interesting experience that I came away with was her spirit of prayer. It is in a relationship with God, trusting that the needs that she has will be met in God's time.
Yeah, I have to say, too, that I'd agree that Vivian Ann was such a faith-filled person, and you could just tell that prayer was part of her life every day, trust in the Lord, like you mentioned. She was an inspiration, I think, for all of us. And I think when we were finishing up the project, one of the traditions of Hopes on the Way is to bless the project. And when the greenhouse was all done, we walked around and we had holy water, and we walked around and blessed the greenhouse, and then asked Vivian Ann for a blessing for us. And if you remember, Joe, I think there wasn't a dry eye in the group.
Very true. Very, very true. I have one other insight from our experience there, and that was the two parish local churches. One, St. John Paul II, and Mother Teresa of Calcutta. Both churches were simple in design, but they are open. And the pastor shared the fact that people of other faiths come and sit in the quiet space, and he never locks the door. Mm-hmm. Whereas their local churches are only open on Sundays.
Right. Well, Joe, what do you think is the biggest need for Hopes on the Way moving forward?
There are a number of specific needs. One, someone willing to be a Hopes on the Way social communications manager. We just started a Facebook page. We now know how to use drills, but we can't definitely use the keyboards. People willing to volunteer to help on projects within and outside of the diocese. We don't have to worry about skills. We have people knowledgeable and can help and instruct. So it's primarily someone who has listened to the message of the gospel, which is the criteria for judgment, and are willing to share their time, their talent, and resources, financial or whatever.
And what's the best way if someone wants to get involved in Hopes on the Way or to make a donation? What's best way of doing that?
Well, our website is going to be revised soon, but presently there is a form on that website where they have supply contact information, and we will follow up by returning a phone call or an email, whatever way they address us. And hopefully we can invite them to a meeting and to explain better what we're about. Donations. That can be done by making a donation to the diaconate office, designating, of course, Hopes on the Way as the payee. 816 Marengo Avenue, Forest Park, Illinois, 60130. We will get the Facebook page functional soon, and we'll add an option of making donations there also.
Okay, great. And what if I have a project that I'd like to have Hopes on the Way consider? Well, how would I get that? Bring that to your attention?
Well, usually it's a phone call to me or to John Vidmar. The latest, of course, is the St. Anne's in Arlington Heights. That's under the umbrella of Misericordia? Maryville. And they also have another site in Naperville. Is that one of the western suburbs that we've been asked to help, but we have had no one contact us as of today to come out, look at it, see what we can do. So there's always a potential there, and we're willing to help. We come to serve, not to be served.
So you're still. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to just ask Joe: is your contact information on the website if someone had a project?
Yes, John is saying yes, it's there.
Okay.
And the website is what is hopesontheway.org?
That is correct.
Okay. So it sounds like there's still plenty of work for the deacons and the lay volunteers of Hopes on the Way.
Oh, there is. I have no doubt about it. It's just amazing how we find out the requests, and we're always open to help if we can. There was one situation where the request was, could we build a refrigerated space in a pole barn? And when we did the numbers, we found it's cost prohibitive, but we gave an alternate choice. Find a refrigerated truck or a refrigerated unit from a restaurant would probably be cheaper. And as far as I know, we gave an answer, but it wasn't practical for us to get involved because of cost. We have no monies except what we generate through donations.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we're getting close to the end now. Any final thoughts, Joe?
Well, I think my conversation with the Lord always is, how do I serve today to bring your presence in my physical presence of my feet, bringing me there, and my hands willing to serve? And I keep getting a surprise every day that I wake up and I'm able to move.
Well, I think you're certainly an inspiration, Joe, for your long years of service and your dedication to Hopes on the Way. And I'm sure you'll be inspiring other people who are listening to seek out Hopes on the Way, to try to help or donate and continue this great work. Joe, thank you again for your time. God bless you. Jim, always good seeing you. Everyone,
Yes,
take care. God bless.
Joe, God bless. Keep moving forward in service.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Can you be baptized like I have been baptized? Are you